Today we're going to learn about what is a writing prompt. I learned the test is coming up and it is different than iRead. iRead was only reading, but iLearn is reading, writing, and math. And the writing prompt can be a little tricky if you're not ready. So I'm going to get you ready so it's not tricky. Okay. So when it comes to a writing prompt, the test is going to give you information telling you specifically what it wants you to write about. It's not a journal writing. It's not a free write where you just write whatever you feel like. You write whatever you feel like on a certain topic, answering the question that they give you. So the old writing prompts used to be very straightforward, kind of short. And now the writing prompts are based off of a something that you read. So you have to read something first and then write about it. So let me show you an example of what that would look like. So here's an example where, just like on iRead, you have a passage on one side and questions or task on the other. And then you've got this little bar here where you can scroll. So this side you would need to read this. Now on this particular question, this article, the story about the astronauts, you already read because there were questions for the reading portion on it. And then the last part was your writing portion. So it may be like that on the test, it may not be. So what you're going to want to do is read the whole story. I know this is a kind of a long one, but you're going to want to read it so that you know what you're writing about. So then on this side, it shows me the directions. Okay, so part two is that you're going to be you're going to review the sources, the plan, everything. Let me go down to the assignment. So what you want to do first of all when you are doing your writing prompt is you want to underline the task or at least find the task, just like we do in math. What are they asking me to answer? What are they asking me to write about? So let's see if we can find that. It says your teacher is creating a bulletin board display in the school library to show what your class has learned about different types of jobs. You decide to write an information article on astronauts. Your article will be read by other students, teachers, and parents. Okay, so that didn't tell me yet exactly what I'm writing about. It gave me some background information. So let's keep reading and see if we can figure out what I need to write about. Using more than one source, develop a main idea about being an astronaut. Choose the most important information from the sources to support your main idea. Then write an informational article that is several paragraphs long. Clearly organize your article and support your main idea with details from the sources. Now this one's pretty tricky, but let's just take it step by step. So I said find, underline the task. So it's asking me to develop a main idea about an astronaut and then support my main idea. Okay, so hopefully adding that part in, the underlining the task, helps me a little bit so that I'm not like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm just coming up with a main idea and details. Oh, that doesn't sound quite as tricky. So after you have finished step one of finding the task, now you want to decide what type of writing you're doing. So are you making a list? Are you doing an essay? Are you writing a story? Are you comparing and contrasting? Are you persuading, like trying to talk somebody into something? So let's see if it tells us what type of writing we're doing. It says right on there that we need to write an informational article that is several paragraphs long. So now I know I'm writing a main idea and details, and it needs to be several paragraphs long, okay? Now, if you continue reading the information there, it helps you. It tells you how to use your own words, except when quoting, so don't just copy everything over from there. Be sure to give the source title or number. Now, we haven't really done sources in third grade. This isn't really a great third grade example right there, even though it says it was a third grade example. But let's scroll down and read everything that it gives you here before you start writing, because it's telling me that, okay, I need to have a clear main idea. This is how I'm going to get a good grade. It says right there, a well-written informational article has a clear main idea, is well organized, stays on topic, has an introduction and conclusion, uses transitions. Now, if this is getting to be too much for you, then just slow it down. You can always go back and use this as your checklist when you're done, okay? So now that I've got my task, write a main idea and details, and I know what type of writing, I'm writing a couple paragraphs so I can give you information. Now I'm going to come up with my plan. So I'm going to kind of sit and think about how exactly what I want mine to look like. Now I recommend you guys are going to be typing, so write it down on a piece of paper. it's called an outline. So you're going to come up with some ideas on a piece of paper. Okay, so I read my whole article, the whole story, all the information there, and I found what I think is the main idea. So here's how I would recommend to plan out your piece. I wrote what I thought the main idea was that astronauts explore space. That's what this is all about, exploring space. And then as I read the rest of it, there was a decent amount about the training that they need to do. So I can write about astronaut training. Next one was different special jobs they have. So I can write a whole paragraph about the different jobs that different astronauts would have on the space shuttle. And then the second article, the second part of the reading was about how their body changes while they're in space and that things that they need to be able to understand and be able to work through. So there we go. There's my story. I mean, this isn't actually my story, but now I know what to do when I'm ready to start typing it. So now on the test, you would be typing it. You would want to start off by saying what your main idea was, because the next step is writing. After you've planned, you're going to write and you're going to add lots of detail. And so I'm going to talk about astronauts explore space. To do this, they need to have special training. There are also special jobs each astronaut would be in charge of on the space shuttle. Last, they will experience body changes from being in space. So look, there we go. Now I am ready to, nope, it won't let me indent. Now I'm ready to start. So I mentioned, now that's not my whole thing. That's just my first paragraph. I told you the main idea and I gave you the 3 details, but now I'm going to explain the 3 details like in length. So go back to the training part. Astronauts. So first, astronauts go through extensive training. Now, I'm not done with that. And if I don't remember what kind of training they do, look back and see. I just don't want to write exactly what they put in here. Go to the training. Here we go. Astronauts train for hundreds of hours. During the training, they learn about space. This type of training might include studying the stars and Earth. So I can reread talks about in their training, astronauts also learn what life is like in the International Space Station. So there's talking about lots of different training things. So then I could put that into, so I might put, first astronauts go through extensive training. They must learn about the academics about space. So keep talking about that. I'm going to add several sentences. I might keep going back and looking. And then I'll go to the next one where I talk about jobs. Next, notice I use those transition words, first, next, last. Next, they must be trained on special jobs. And if you don't remember what the jobs are, I would scroll back up and read about the jobs. Here we go. Each astronaut has a special job to do as a part of the team. They learn how to put things together so they can fix things. Some astronauts are pilots. So that's what I'm going to put in my next part. They must be trained on special jobs. Things can break in space, so they need to be trained on how to fix things in the space shuttle. So see what I did there? I kind of put in my own words. So anyway, you're going to keep doing that until you have finished your whole typed writing. And then the last step is going to be, if I can pick up my Post-it, that you are going to check your writing, which means you need to reread it. That's the big part. Reread, edit, and revise. Now, this is the last part. Sometimes you use all your time writing and you don't, and the teacher might say, since this is timed, they might say time is up and you don't get to finish by checking it. But if you finish early and the teacher hasn't called time yet, then you need to check your work. So that would mean go back, reread it. Astronauts explore space. To do this, they need to have special training. And you're looking to see, did I leave out words? Do I think something is spelled wrong? Can I put a bigger word in there? So like I put the word extensive in there. That was a good one. They go through, I could have said a lot of training, but extensive is better. So you could put wow words in there, okay? So we're going to be practicing writing prompts over the next 2 weeks. and we're going to be looking at what is the task, since that's step number one. We're going to look at what type of writing it needs to be. We're going to explore different types of writing. We're going to work on planning our writing. We're going to work on actually doing the writing, and then at the end going through and checking our writing. Those are the 5 steps. Okay, so today was just a learning day, and then tomorrow will be a learning day as well, and then you'll start actually putting this into practice on the next lesson. All right, see ya.